Hola, buenos días. Bienvenidos a este webinar informativo UK Fintech Week. Desde Fintech Chile estamos felices porque nos vamos a Inglaterra. Esperemos que ustedes se sumen a esta delegación chilena que está organizando la UK Embassy de Santiago, la British Embassy de Santiago, y que la idea es que ustedes puedan preguntar, hacer consultas a las personas que van a exponer. Hoy, Pablo Derpich, Inward Investment Manager, nos acompaña para contarnos y explicarnos cómo formar parte de esta delegación chilena que se sumará al UK Fintech Week del 17 al 21 de abril. Pablo, bienvenido.
Hola Valeria, un gusto, ¿cómo estás?
Súper bien, muy contenta de esta invitación, de esta organización que están haciendo desde el British Embassy de Santiago, así que muy feliz. Buenos días, Marcel. Aquí ya están empezando a llegar las personas que están interesadas y nos están escribiendo en el chat. Así que, bueno, es todo tuyo. Cuéntanos, Pablo, ¿qué tenemos que hacer el ecosistema fintech chileno para poder participar del UK Fintech Week?
Perfecto. Buenos días a todos, muchas gracias a todos los que se suman a este webinar. Mi nombre es Pablo, soy gerente de inversiones trabajando para el Departamento de Comercio Internacional en la Embajada Británica en Chile. Mi rol es ayudar a empresas chilenas a poder llegar al mercado británico, expandirse, abrir oficinas allá y expandir sus operaciones. Pero primero que todo me gustaría agradecer a Fintech Chile, que han sido y son un partner muy importante para nosotros. Les agradecemos esta oportunidad de poder presentar todos los beneficios y oportunidades que ofrece el Reino Unido en el sistema fintech, pero particularmente en esta UK Fintech Week. Esta será una semana dedicada a todo lo que es fintech en abril de este año. Vamos a tener reuniones, recepciones, eventos, todo para entender el ecosistema y cómo funciona allá. Nosotros como gobierno británico estamos trabajando con ayuda de partners como Fintech Chile para formar una delegación que pueda llegar a Londres y al Reino Unido esa semana. La delegación chilena será parte de una delegación más grande eh, de videos de una delegación más grande de empresas y stakeholders latinoamericanas, por lo que nosotros también estamos organizando eventos con ProChile, con la embajada allá en Chile, la embajada de Brasil, así que va a ser un evento donde varias empresas latinas también van a poder ir y hacer networking con empresas de la región, pero también lo más importante, claro, es hacer networking allá en el Reino Unido. Nuestra delegación por ahora está compuesta por el regulador, que es la CMF. Hemos invitado al Banco Central y empresas en el sector financiero, ya sean bancos o también las empresas fintech, que por eso es lo que estamos aquí. Entonces, la idea es poder contarles más sobre los servicios y el apoyo que entregamos como gobierno británico para las empresas que quieran llegar al Reino Unido y que quieran sumarse a esta delegación. También queremos contarles más del ecosistema fintech en el Reino Unido. Tenemos a Julia Koch, que es la Business Development Manager en Brasil, que nos va a contar todo sobre la delegación brasileña que se sumó a Fintech Week el año pasado. Luego les contaremos todo lo que tiene para ofrecer Fintech Week este año, y para eso hemos invitado a la persona que está organizando todo allá desde Londres, que es Jack Jones, que es el Head of Fintech del Departamento de Comercio Internacional allá en el Reino Unido. Solo para que sepan, ellos dos van a presentar en inglés. Entonces, comencemos. Valeria, ¿la presentación lo hago yo o lo hacen ustedes? Eso, perfecto. Siempre se puede confiar en Fintech Chile. La siguiente, por favor. Eso. Welcome to the UK. La siguiente. Sí, yo les quería contar un poco más a nivel general el apoyo que nosotros entregamos como gobierno británico. Primero que nada, tal como lo muestra esta lámina, es bueno recalcar que todos los servicios que entregamos como gobierno británico son free of charge y en total confidencia comercial. Como se muestra a la derecha, nosotros te ayudamos identificando la oportunidad en el mercado británico. Básicamente, si tu empresa es un buen match para el ecosistema del Reino Unido, te podemos ayudar introduciéndote gente correcta, centros de innovación, universidades, gobiernos locales, ProChile allá en Londres, pero también Innovate UK, que es un poco como el Corfo de acá y que te ayuda, te entrega mucho apoyo si tu empresa está registrada en el Reino Unido. Ellos te pueden, por ejemplo, ayudar a internacionalizarte a través de Europa, a través de la Enterprise Europe Network. En una etapa más avanzada podemos ayudarte con market research, cuáles son los mercados en particular que te gustaría entrar, cómo te gustaría entrar, quiénes son los actores principales. En todo eso te podemos ayudar dónde llegar al Reino Unido, porque ustedes saben, el Reino Unido es gigante, tiene mucho ecosistema, muchos nichos, entonces a veces no es tan obvio dónde llegar. Te podemos ayudar presentando especialistas en la región, gobiernos locales, todo lo que tú necesites. Y finalmente te podemos ayudar navegando todo el sistema de impuestos, postular las visas, encontrar el staff, todo eso. Pero dentro del apoyo que nosotros también entregamos es organizar estas delegaciones comerciales al Reino Unido. Como les decía, esta en particular será una oportunidad de conocer el ecosistema fintech y poder ver la posibilidad de expandirse. Nosotros tenemos varios casos de éxito de empresas que ya están allá. Intentaremos incluir en esa semana reuniones y eventos con ellos para que ustedes también puedan escuchar de las empresas que ya están allá, que puedan conocer sus experiencias, que les puedan contar cuáles fueron los beneficios, cuáles fueron los challenges que tuvieron al ingresar allá. Entonces, bueno, me gustaría introducir a Julia, que les va a contar un poco más sobre el ecosistema en un nivel más denso, o sea, de todo lo que está pasando. Ella tiene números, ella tiene todo para contarles cómo funciona el Reino Unido, pero también les va a contar sobre la experiencia de la delegación brasileña que pudo llegar el año pasado. Así que, Julia, te doy el pase a ti. There she is.
Hi everyone, nice to be here with Fintech Chile and happy to be contributing as well with the session. I'm Julia, I'm Inward Investment Manager for DIT Brazil, so my role is similar to Pablo, but right now I'm supporting Brazilian companies to establish in the UK. Last year we were responsible for organizing the UK Fintech mission to London between April last year, so we are super excited to bring new delegates to the UK as well this year. Can you see my screen?
Yes, we can, but it's not in presentation mode. It's like
And right now can you see it?
Maybe you need to try to present again, I think, and maybe select the one that is in full screen.
Let's try again.
Thank you, Julia. So sorry, everyone. Just
No,
some
don't worry.
technical issues.
Uh,
Can you see it, Julia? I think
Yes, we can show this one, Pablo Derpich, and we can pass to the next slide. Can we try?
Can you see it now, or can you see
we
it?
can. Yes, we can.
Oh, perfect.
But it's
So
not in full screen, Julia.
yeah,
I'm
for me
gonna
it's
ask
in
for
full
some.
screen already. Yeah.
no worries, Julia. Maybe I think. Can you see it now, Julia?
I can manage it. I can look. Can you
Yeah,
see
but
the screen?
yes,
Can you
so
see
we
it?
can see the screen, Julia, and maybe you can just walk through the presentation and we
Okay,
will be moving
perfect. And
here.
then I'll go through.
Great.
Thank you so
Yeah,
much.
Perfect.
perfect.
Exactly,
Perfect.
exactly.
So thank you guys. So the idea for today is that we can show you a little bit more about the UK fintech ecosystem data so you can understand why this delegation should be super great for you. And for that, we need to understand that the UK today is one of the biggest fintech ecosystems in the world. And when we say that, we are talking about 2,500 fintechs companies in Great Britain, mostly in London, even though we have other clusters such as Bristol, Manchester, Edinburgh, that you will also have the opportunity to visit when you are in the UK. But most of the fintechs today are based in London. We have around 90,000 finance and insurance firms in the UK as well, making London one of the world's greatest concentrations of financial and professional firms in the world. And besides that, we have this data that shows that about $3.6 trillion of daily foreign exchange trades are transacted in London. So this accounts for more than than the other four next markets combined that are New York, Singapore, Hong Kong, and Tokyo. So we are talking about a huge ecosystem, a thriving ecosystem that we are super excited to connect to. One very important data about the UK fintech ecosystem is this one from I don't know if you can see it, but in 2019 we had about 1,600 fintech companies in the UK, and in 2021 we already have grown to 2,500 companies. So this shows that the UK is growing in the sector, and the predictions that we have right now is that by 2030 we will have double this number. So we can expect about 5,000 fintech companies in the UK. And maybe it's one Chilean company as well, as we are doing this in Brazil, supporting Brazilian companies to establish in the UK, supporting Brazilian fintechs to establish in the UK. I'm pretty sure that Pablo can support you as well. When we talk about investment, the UK today is one of the biggest markets when we talk about startup investment. And when we divide this only, when we see only the fintech investment, in 2021, we can see that this number reached around $12 billion, almost $12 billion only in UK fintech investment. So today, London gets more investment than Paris, Stockholm, and Paris and Stockholm combined, and Berlin as well. So it's, if you are looking for investment for a Series A, B, whatever, you can also understand how this strategy works in the UK. Besides that, we have another data that shows that globally there were more than 6,000 deals in 2021 in fintech, and over 700 of those were in the UK. So this accounts for around 10% of the total, sustaining again the idea that UK fintech ecosystem can support you to find investment as well for your startup, your company. And another data that shows that the UK is the right place for fintech in the world is the UK consumer base that has one of the highest fintech adoptions rates in the world. So that's 71% versus a global average of 64%. And this shows that the UK consumer is open for new technology, it's open for innovation, and not only from the UK, but from all around the world. And I can see the screen, but I'll talk about the subsectors of the UK ecosystem right now. The UK ecosystem is thriving, but when we talk about the subsectors, we can see the spotlight, especially in the wealth tech and in the payment sector. Both of the sectors, they account for around half of the UK fintech companies, and most of them are, again, are based in London, even though we have more and more companies looking to establish in different cities and in other emerging clusters. So when we talk about the UK fintech clusters, we see obviously London as the main financial center in Europe. And if we talk globally, it compares, it can be competing directly with New York, Singapore, Hong Kong. But at the same time, besides London, we have emerging clusters that we would like to connect you with. So we have Birmingham, we have Manchester, Leeds, we have Edinburgh, we have clusters in Norfolk Island, Wales, Bristol, Reading, Cambridge. So the idea of this UK FinTech Week that we are presenting you today is to show you not only the opportunities in the greater London, but all around the UK. You know, the idea is that you can understand what opportunities are there for you all over the UK. So I would like to share with you a little bit about the experience that we had last year with the Brazilian delegation. Here in the pictures, you can see part of the Brazilian and the Mexican delegation that attended the UK FinTech Week with us. Last year, we were able to combine a super great delegation that had different profiles of stakeholders from the financial services sector. So we had startups, we had banks, we had other financial institutions, we had associations. So we had the Brazilian Association of Fintechs attending the UK Fintech Week with us as well. We have investors, we have venture capitalists attending the UK Fintech Week with us, looking for UK startups opportunities. And it was a super great experience. As Pablo said, this is not only the moment for you to connect with the UK fintech ecosystem, but it's also an opportunity to connect with other key stakeholders from Latin America as well. So we'll probably have companies from Brazil, Chile, Mexico, Argentina, and Peru this year joining the delegation. Most of the companies are from Chile, Brazil, and Mexico right now. Last year, we had the opportunity to talk with the Financial Conduct Authority. We know that some of you have your services regulated in your countries. So in the UK, it happens the same way. So services, they need to be regulated by the Financial Conduct Authority. And we had the opportunity to get the Financial Conduct Authority to talk with the companies and to show them how they can establish their operations in the UK and plan, their services in the best way to keep under the regulation. They also had the opportunity to talk with Innovate Finance, that is a similar initiative as Fintech Chile or AB Fintechs in Brazil. Innovate Finance is the one organizing the Innovate Finance Global Summit. They are a super partner of DIT, and they have assured us discount tickets as well. So for all of you that are joining the delegation, we have special prices for you to join UK Fintech Week with us. We also had the opportunity to understand about the UK Fintech Sandbox promoted by FCA. We had the opportunity to join an open banking session with the Brazilian Embassy in London. So I believe that Pablo is also organizing something with the Chile Embassy in London this year for you. And I think it's important to mention that this open banking session was organized because the delegates asked us for the session. We understood that open banking, open finance was a great synergy between Brazil and the UK. So, okay, let's do a morning just about open banking. And I believe that we can do the same with you. We can understand what are your priorities in Chile and what are the synergies between these priorities and what the UK has in its best. I think that's it from my side, guys. We had also a meeting with Minister Jawardina, that was our previous trade investment minister in Brazil. So we had the opportunity to discuss about the challenges that we have as Brazilian companies to establish in the UK. So what you need to know is that DIT is here for you to connect you with the main UK fintech players, and also to understand what are the synergies between your countries, your markets in the UK, so you can promote business between both countries.
Amazing. Thank you so much, Julia, for that very comprehensive presentation. So I would like to present now our colleague in London who is helping us organizing, well, he is organizing this whole week with his team. So we have Jack Jones from London now. He's the head fintech, who is going to present about all the opportunities that we have for this week for that's going to happen this year in April. So Jack, over to you, and can we please share the presentation again? Thank you so
Great.
much.
No, thank you so much, everyone, for inviting me here. I think Julia should come to the UK and do my job. She has covered it in loads of detail. So thank you very much, Julia. So just a very quick introduction. So I am our co-head of FinTech at the Department for Business and Trade, which changed yesterday. Very exciting. So the Department for Trade in the UK. So my role is, there's two parts to my role. One is to help UK companies get out overseas and explore the opportunities across the world. And then second is to encourage as many fintechs from across the world to come to the UK, whether that's a landing pad to enter Europe, whether it's for the market opportunity in the UK itself. My role being sat in HQ in London, I cover everything from trade and investment to policy, so working closely with our central banks, our treasury, and also on the regulator side. So making sure that our FCA in the UK understands what our companies want and also what would make the UK a more attractive place for overseas companies. So very varied role, but the flagship event of the year for us is UK Fintech Week. So I want to give an outline today on what the activities are during the week, and then a little bit more about the key themes that you may hear from during the week, and just to give you an idea of where the UK is currently focusing. So the week itself. So the first 2 days on the Monday and Tuesday is Innovate Finance Global Summit. And I'll go into more detail in a moment about that. But the Innovate Finance Global Summit, IFGS, this is organized by Innovate Finance. Innovate Finance are the trade association for fintech in the UK, but importantly, not UK Fintech. They represent any fintech company that wants to be in the UK. So anything in the UK, whether you're Brazilian, Chilean, or whether you're British, they represent your interests. So they are having their 2-day festival. DIT, myself and my colleagues in London, we will have a physical stand, so a small and modest, but a physical stand as a really good meeting point and to come and meet some of the UK-based staff. And it's an event full of speakers, high-profile announcements, and we'll touch more on that in a moment. Now, if you came with a delegation with Pablo or Julia, on the Monday evening, we are having a VIP reception at Mansion House. So the Lord Mayor of London is inviting us to use his house for the evening. And this will be 400 people, including our delegations. So 400 people, which the City of London, Innovate Finance, and ourselves have invited. And this is everyone that you would ever need to know in the UK fintech sector in one room for a night of networking, drinking, eating, whatever it is you want to do on a Monday evening. So that's really exciting. We're really looking forward to that. Last year was a great success. Now, on the Wednesday, we're having DIT Day. So on this day, we will bring the UK ecosystem to you. So we will have the FCA will be speaking. We will have Level 39 and other accelerators in the UK. We will have regulatory consultants. We'll have law firms. We will have representatives from the likes of Scotland, from Wales, and we will have 2 or 3 UK fintech companies, such as Revolut or Trulair, who will be speaking to share their experiences as to how to be really successful in the UK. Now, I know Julia mentioned just there around there's regulators who may be interested. We have agreed with the FCA that we can help to set up 10 to 15 minute drop-in sessions where you can speak to the FCA one-on-one and ask any questions. But they will also be doing a talk on the Wednesday about their sandbox program, about their international engagement, and how you can be involved. On the Thursday, we are having UK Fintech matchmaking. So on this day, we will be bringing lots of UK fintech companies under one roof. And the idea here is they get to meet you. So I'm aware there's going to be some investors, there'll be some buyers, there'll be banks. Some of you will be regulators, some of you will be central banks. The purpose of this session is our UK fintechs to meet potential partners. So any companies that are attending, it's for them to meet potential investors and also for them to understand more about the opportunities that there may be in Latin America. So this is a chance for them to get to know you. And then on the Friday, as an optional visit, we'll be doing a visit outside of London. So we've just seen that fintech, whilst London is the home of it in the UK, is actually spread throughout the whole country now. There are fintech hubs that are appearing in almost every major city. So on the Friday, we will be choosing to go to either Cardiff in Wales or Birmingham in the Midlands. So Cardiff is now home to several fintech companies. Some of these, two of them recently were unicorn status, so they got valued at £1 billion. And then Birmingham has seen a really fast increase in financial services companies. So the likes of Goldman Sachs and JP Morgan have both just opened up offices in Birmingham, and there's a real big push there to get more technology talent into that region. So that's an overview of the week as a whole. If you do choose to attend on a DIT delegation, all of that is yours for only the cost of the entrance to IFGS, which, as Julia mentioned, we have secured discounted tickets, which is at £350 per person. That's about half the price if you go as a full price, and this is your ticket to all this activity during the week. So just moving on very quickly onto the actual IFGS itself. So the next slide, please. Thank you. So last year, we had over 2,000 people turn up to the event. This year, we expect it to be 2,500. Last year, there was 15 international delegations. We actually think this year there's probably going to be 22, which is amazing. So really looking forward to getting as many of you as possible. And as you can see, it's quite a diverse group as well. So you get decision makers. So over almost half of the attendees last year were at the C-suite level, or they were founders. So you will be speaking to those who actually have the power to make decisions. It is diverse. Innovate Finance does lots of work in ensuring that underrepresented groups in the sector get an equal voice. And as you saw there, in terms of total countries, over 70. So it is truly an international summit. So what are the key themes that are expected to come up this year and that you will hear in the UK as you visit? So I won't go through every one line by line, but just a flavour. In the UK in particular, around how does ESG, net zero, and green fintech, what does that mean, and how does that impact us as buyers, as regulators, and as consumers? There's also a push on talent. In order for the UK to continue being a global hub of fintech, how do we get talent in the UK and develop that? But more importantly, how do we attract the best talent from overseas? So how do we tap into the Latin American developers and get them to come to the UK? Or how do we interest companies in developing their own skills? And then finally, on this point, there's a lot of work happening in the UK and globally with rising prices and the macro environment on financial inclusion. How can fintech be a force for good? And how can we use it to help our consumers and our countries adjust to various costs of living increases and a more fairer, equitable society? So that's a really interesting theme this year. And then just finally, for me, what does this mean in terms of the summit itself? So the summit is all about how do we collaborate as a global ecosystem. No one country can be the home of fintech. In the UK, something like 30% of the founders of our fintech unicorns were not born in the UK. It's an international scene, and we want to make sure we have that collaboration. Equally, how do we ensure that fintech continues to move with the global trends? What fintech was 10 years ago in response to the global financial crisis is very different now. So how do we continue to adapt to the changes that we are seeing? So that is a quick overview of the week. I'm really excited to see as many of you as possible here for the week. And I'm really happy to take any questions that you may have between Julia, Pablo, and myself. Hopefully we can answer them. So I'll end my presentation there and hand over for questions. Thank you very much.
Fantastic. Thank you, Pablo, Julie, and Jack. We're very excited in Fintech Chile to participate in this delegation. And we have some questions from the crowd. The first question is, do only fintechs go or can a person go? ¿Puede ir una persona solamente o tiene que ser una empresa la que participa en la delegación?
I'll start with that. So, I mean, we are not limiting what the delegation looks like. If you are an individual who has a particular interest in fintech, perhaps you're a private investor, what we want to do, the outcome of the week from my point of view, is how can we leave you coming back to Chile or Brazil or wherever, understanding everything you need to know about the UK fintech ecosystem. And then Julia and Pablo, I know that you'll be responsible for choosing your delegations as well. So maybe I'll hand over to you.
No, thank you so much, Jack. I think from my side that it sounds perfectly. We really want to develop more Chile-UK relationships. So if anyone is interested in going and doing networking with fintechs from Latin America, from all over the world, and especially from the United Kingdom, we are very happy to take them into our delegation.
Fantastic. So this is a great opportunity for all people who have an interest on the fintech industry, not only enterprises. So anyone who's interested, you must contact Pablo so that you can become part of this delegation. There's another question. Walton Fintech. They ask, how do you apply to be part of the delegation? And if you're selected, who would cover the costs in transportation and stay?
I can take that one. So at the moment, I think the best way is to just write me directly. So if you show interest, I can set you in the list. And when we have the official site that you can register, I can send it over to you. We, as the Department for International Trade and the British government, we don't provide support in terms of accommodation or travel. We do provide support, as Jack and Julia said, a discount ticket for the big event and with the whole organization and the whole logistic part of the week. But as I said, we don't provide support in terms of accommodation and in terms of travel. We do hope that the people that it's going with our delegation, maybe we can try to perhaps stay in the same hotel, try to stay all together, and in this way we can have a very good week that we can all go together. But that's the idea.
Great, Pablo. Thank you. Patricia Cortez from Beatrice Finance. He asks, additionally, maybe like they have to pay for their accommodation and transportation or the travel, but is it through the British Embassy? Do you coordinate or the accommodation? Do you suggest where to stay or which tickets to buy? Is that something that you'll do, or each person or company has to do that on their own?
Julia, would you like to take this one, talking a bit about your experience last year with the Brazilian delegation, perhaps? Julia, you are on mute.
Sorry, guys. My screen in StreamYard is not good today. I couldn't hear you. So the idea is that DIT covers. Can you listen to me?
Yes,
we can listen to you. So the question was how we as department and British embassy organize the whole reservations, accommodation, and all this kind of stuff. So I was telling you, maybe you can tell your experience from the Brazilian delegation last year.
Yeah, last year our delegates, we stayed in different hotels. Some delegates preferred to stay in a hotel. Some other delegates booked an Airbnb, for example. So we can suggest you some hotels to stay, and you can stay in the same hotel that we are staying. But all of the companies or individuals are responsible for covering their own costs. So we are not paying your tickets or accommodations, but we can recommend you flights and also places to stay. What we can do for you is to provide you a discount for the Innovate Finance Global Summit, which is the main event of the week that Jack told us before. So I think the normal price it's about like £1,000, and we have this settle price in £350 for the ones that are attending the delegation with us. So we can support you in this cost specifically, but besides that, tickets, accommodations, food, for example, each company has to pay for its own.
Yes, and I think once you are officially part of the delegation, we can send you all the information on how to register, how to set the code for the discount for the event. We can send you a few options of hotels that you can stay, or that some delegates will stay that perhaps you want to be closer to them. So we can, of course, manage all those details and all that logistical parts. But as Yura said, the other part we just can do.
Fantastic. Thank you, Pablo and Julia. That answered Francisca Fuentes' question. So the ticket with the discount would be £350 versus £1,000. So this is a great opportunity for the Chilean fintech industry, people or enterprises that would like to travel and have a great experience at the UK Fintech Week. There's a question from, I don't know how to pronounce this, Corkhoax. How many tickets can an enterprise have? Is there a limited amount per enterprise or fintech enterprise?
So I can take this. So we have unlimited amounts of discounted tickets. So the short answer is as many tickets as you like. The long answer is we do have a limit as to how many people we can invite to, say, the VIP receptions on the Monday night. I think what worked quite well last year was when there were companies from other overseas countries, we found that typically between 2 to 3 people per organization was probably a good amount. Once you start going to 5, 6, 7, it becomes a lot harder for my colleagues to organize. And B, we then need to start putting limits on how many people we can invite to some of the evening events. So yeah, I think just be sensible is my is my advice.
Fantastic. Thank you, Jack. There's a question from Leon. He asks, are there any requirements in order to be selected for the delegation?
I'll hand over back to Julia and Paolo to your views.
Oh, thank you, Jack. From Brazil side, and I imagine with Chile is the same, we don't have any requirements in order for you to be selected to attend the delegation. We want people that, are curious about the UK fintech ecosystem, that want to do business, that want to expand its operations to UK. So there is no requirements. In order to be selected for that. Anyone that wants to join the delegation can do it. So as I said before, like we had banks attending the delegation last year, we had startups, we had individuals, we had investors, we had regulators, we had associations. So it's a very diverse group that is joining us in the delegation, and there are no requirements in order to be selected.
Thank you so much, Julia. Just to add to that is that if you perhaps have some interest but you are not sure about going or not, you can always send me an email. I think, Valeria, we will share my details after this call, so you can ask me. We can organize a one-to-one meeting, and perhaps I can tell you all about the Fintech Week in more detail, and to see perhaps a more tailored meeting, so we can see if there is something there that you can find useful, and you can Go with the delegation. So very happy to have those one-to-one meetings as well.
Fantastic, great. There aren't any more questions, so I'm gonna leave these 2 minutes for you to have like the last invitation to the Chilean fintech industry. Pablo, Jack, Julia, what can you tell? A final power up? Let's go to the UK Fintech Week.
Yep, for me, I mean, it is very rare that you get to be in the UK at a time where there is quite exciting change in the sector. So if you look at from a politics point of view and a government point of view, we have a prime minister who last year at UK Fintech Week was the keynote speaker when he was the chancellor, and he is a huge fintech fan. The second person in the treasury is he's a fintech nerd. He loves fintech a bit too much. And then in my department, our investment minister and our minister for exports and our secretary of state, all three of them have previously worked for fintechs or for banks. So we have real political drive at the moment. Equally, in terms of our perspective, there's a lot of exciting regulation coming up. So open banking, in 3 weeks, we're going to be announcing the next stage of open banking. So how do we go from the UK being the first, and now Brazil is probably catching us up? How do we keep on pushing forwards? We've had crypto assets. So anyone interested in crypto assets or blockchain, we've just announced our publication. And this morning, we announced our plans for a central bank digital currency. So fintech is at the heart of most government decisions at the moment. It's a really exciting time to be here.
I would agree with Jack and say that this is the best week to be in the UK if you are a fintech or if you are in the financial services sector. From the Brazilian experience last year that we have, it was a super good moment to do business. We had delegates from Brazil that were able to sign contracts during UK Fintech Week to meet good people. So it's the perfect timing to be next to the opinion makers of the sector and also the decision makers of the companies. So it's a place to do business and a week to get to know everything you can from UK Fintech.
Thank you very much, Jack and Julia. I will do my final remarks in Spanish. Sí, muy de acuerdo con Jack y Julia. Esta es una semana espectacular. Yo he hablado con los chilenos que han estado en FinTech Week y me dicen que es un evento que no se pueden perder. Y como decía Jack, hay muchos temas regulatorios pasando ahora en el Reino Unido, pero también en Chile. Y yo creo que hay mucho quizás que podemos aprender de todo el ecosistema financiero en el Reino Unido, que ha sido un hub de FinTech hace muchos años. Entonces creo que podemos aprender mucho de esta experiencia. Lo esperamos, de verdad. Hay muchas oportunidades que nosotros queremos mostrarles, hay mucho networking que pueden hacer y va a ser súper entretenido también eso. Así que eso, le dejamos abierta la invitación. Valeria va a compartir mi correo para que ustedes puedan mandarme, mostrar su interés o agendar una meeting one-to-one. Y nada, un agradecimiento muy grande a Jack y Julia y particularmente a FinTech Chile por organizar este gran evento. Así que Valeria, te cedemos la palabra a ti.
Vale, muchísimas gracias Jack, Julia y Pablo. Esta es una tremenda y excelente oportunidad para toda la industria fintech, ya seas una empresa fintech, una persona natural o una empresa que está, tal como lo decía Julia, en servicios financieros, áreas legales, consultoría. Esta es una tremenda oportunidad para poder ir a la UK Fintech Week, hacer networking, estar en uno de los grandes polos de lo que es la industria fintech y poder conocer también a otras delegaciones para expandir todo lo que es tu noción comercial en todo lo que es fintech. Así que muchísimas gracias especialmente al British Embassy de Santiago por esta gran oportunidad de invitarnos, de extendernos la invitación, también por el descuento en los tickets para que podamos participar. Así que los invitamos a todos para que prontamente nos puedan contactar, ahí les vamos a mandar la información y que puedan asistir el próximo 17 al 21 de abril al UK Fintech Week. Que estén súper bien. Gracias.